We have a huge epidemic of fentanyl problem created by intentional acts by the cartels. We are doing everything we can within our resources to fight that.
Yeah, well, it ain't working. That's the head of the DOJ, the Attorney General. Now, a family from France comes to our country, rents an Airbnb, and their 19-month-old baby dead from fentanyl exposure. Joining me now is the family's attorney, Thomas Scolaro. Counselor, thank you for joining us. How did this happen?
Thank you for having me on, Chris. Yeah, well, this is every parent's absolute worst nightmare. They go for a nice little family vacation in South Florida, check into an Airbnb. They're there for one day. They don't leave the house. The baby's playing in the house during the day. They put her down for a little nap, and when they go to wake her up, they see her foaming at the mouth and non-responsive. And it's just, they've been living a nightmare ever since.
But what do they think it was? Was it residue? Was it something that was on something? Did they actually find the drug itself?
Well, initially they thought, the family had no idea, so they thought it was maybe sudden infant death syndrome or something. It was not until the autopsy was done and the report came back conclusive of fentanyl poisoning that they understood what happened to their beloved daughter. So it looks like you're talking about something 2 grains or 3 grains of something like the size of salt pellets. And you know how babies are. They touch all these different surfaces, put their hands in their mouth. It could have been anything like that. And it's just absolutely horrific, the level of toxicity that this stuff is when it's killing little babies so innocently.
Now, obviously, they weren't in a drug shack, but you believe that there was some partying going on before they rented.
Oh, yeah. Not only do I believe it, I know it for a fact. This house was previously used as a sort of a party house, if you will, where people would come, they'd rent it off either the VRBO platforms, and they would have parties. And we know that they admitted to using cocaine, marijuana at these parties. Police had to be called numerous times. 911 had to be called. And so this is a whole industry-wide problem. And, to leave your mess for somebody else to stumble upon and a little baby to stumble upon, it's shocking.
Now that you're waking up to the reality of the reach of this, counselor, what do you think people need to know about what we're up against?
Wow. Well, that's I'm glad you're doing this segment and that you're focusing on fentanyls, because this is a huge nationwide problem that I don't think the American public is open to or has seen quite yet. Chris, we are in the first inning of this problem, and eventually everybody, every American, every man, woman, and child is going to know someone who's been poisoned to death by fentanyl. And so I want everybody to know that this stuff is pervasive, it's out there, it's probably laced in more counterfeit drugs than they can imagine. If they're going to a hotel or motel, an Airbnb, a VRBO, do not assume it's safe even though it looks so. You do not know what was going on in that room, in that unit before you got there. Wipe down the surfaces, be extra careful, take the extra step, because we are facing an unprecedented enemy like we've never have before. This thing is horrible.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.com, and you can find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of NewsNation's fact-driven coverage.